Alright guys, please excuse the junk you may see in the background. This is my garage. Unfortunately, I don't have anywhere else to film this, but I wanted to do a top 5 guns video. Now, I was thinking, watching a couple YouTube channels and YouTube videos. I actually just watched a couple videos last couple days about this rifle. Okay, the SKS. Is it still worth it in 2025? Well, we're going to talk about that, okay? And I really wanted to go at it from a very practical perspective, and this is really designed for young men in particular, getting into firearms. Maybe, you know, you got dad's old shit pipe here, but you're really trying to expand your inventory. So there's a couple things to consider, and I wanted to start all the way on the left and then move all the way down to the right. So all the way on the left here, this is one of the more cherished rifles in my collection. This is a Polytech Type 56 Kalashnikov rifle, okay? Now, this is a Chinese-made AK. This is actually, the model is AKS 762, okay? You can see we have the wooden pistol grip and, interestingly enough, a foldable bayonet. Now, many of you who are familiar with Kalashnikovs are probably not used to seeing AKs that have a folding spike bayonet like that. Well, that's because only the Type 56 Chinese rifles really came with that. The Soviet Union and the Warsaw Pact nations had detachable bayonets, not like a fixed spike folding bayonet. And then you're also probably thinking to yourself, well, that's very similar to the folding bayonet on the SKS. Well, yeah, that's where they got it from. Now, a couple points to consider though, okay? Now, in this current configuration, so this is a pre-assault weapons ban of 1994, okay? So the barrel is threaded. We still have the bayonet and pistol grip, which all would have been removed during the Clinton assault weapons ban. If you notice, I got this weird magazine in here. I live in a state that has totalitarian and unconstitutional gun laws, and unfortunately, I have to live with this fixed magazine. That's what makes this whole thing legal. This is not a detachable magazine because of the state that I live in, okay? Really stupid, but it is what it is. Another rifle that has a fixed magazine is the SKS here. Now this has a 10-round fixed magazine, and I can show you how that works in a second. But the big difference between these two is, well, some states, it may be very challenging for you to get this because it's a semi-automatic rifle with a detachable magazine that looks evil, okay? The people who make the laws don't really know much about firearms, so they see these things and it scares them, but they don't look at this. I mean, the rifle shoots the same caliber, 7.62 by 39. It's just operates differently, has a fixed magazine instead of a detachable magazine. You could actually see this here when I pop the magazine open. That is, the magazine is fixed, and you load it with that stripper clip. You put that stripper clip in through the notch, take the top round, push it down. So in the state that I live in, that has the totalitarian unconstitutional laws that I'm referencing, this is perfectly legal. Apparently, I guess they don't care if you're hurting only 10 people, okay? Over 10 is not okay. Anyways, In some states, you may not be able to purchase these two semi-automatic weapons for various different reasons. Most people in the United States, or I would say probably about 50% of this country, is gun owners. We have to suffer with these unconstitutional laws. So when I was a kid, when I was younger, and I was first starting getting into it, I had to have it state compliant as it is, but I could actually just walk into a store and buy a semi-automatic rifle. In the state that I live in right now, you need a license to purchase semi-automatic rifles. I mean, even a Ruger 1022, you need to have a license and go through a training course and get registered in through the county that you live in. It's insane, okay? And I'm not joking when I say this is totalitarian and unconstitutional. So originally, the question was really going to be, is this rifle, the SKS, still worth it in 2025 for the price point? And what I was going to say is, yes, if you want it. But if you're a young guy really trying to get into firearms and you want some good practical rifles, these are the three that I would recommend. And the only one that I forgot is a bolt action 22. But I mean, really, they're a dime a dozen, so we don't really need to spend too much time talking about that. So in the middle here, we have a Rossi 92 in 357 Magnum. This is the triple black model. It's got a Picatinny rail on the barrel, a Skinner peep sight, comes with the braided lever and a threaded barrel. Now that is not a suppressor, it is a WIT machine sound mitigation device. This is actually really good when it shoots 38 specials. That right there is a 357 Magnum. This is a powerful little round and it barks. Definitely good enough to take a deer. These rifles are pretty cheap, especially if you find them used. I got this one used, and I think I paid like maybe 500 bucks for it. So lever actions are pretty easy. Any manual action type firearm, you really are decreasing the probability of malfunctions because you are manually cycling the action instead of relying on the semi-automatic gas-operated system of these two rifles, which are both very reliable. Not saying anything bad about it, but with manual action, you are greatly decreasing the probability of malfunctions. Now, the second rifle we have here, this is a Ruger American. This is a first gen before the second gens came out. This is the Predator model, and this is in 308 Winchester. A lot of people talk about the 6.5 Creedmoor. Guys, don't. 7.62 is way more available. It is way less expensive, and it is way better at putting down big game. Don't even bother with the Creedmoor. That's my advice. I have a Strike Industries 30 cal brake on there to help reduce recoil. I also have a Leupold 3 to 9x40. That's actually a VX2. It's a very old Leupold, but it works very good. And if you notice, that doesn't look like the standard magazine. So I actually bought from Ruger the AICS magazine conversion kit. So my rifle now takes AICS mags, which is really nice. And better than the rotary Ruger mags, which only hold like 4. That's 5-round mag. They also make 10-round mags. And then finally, which I would say really is probably a, how do I say this? No consequences, good first gun buy. Mossberg 500 pump action. Now, we do have the 870 out there, which is also very popular. The one thing I'm going to say about the Remington 870 is during 2020 and COVID, up until about like 2023, 2024, Remington went bankrupt, and you couldn't find parts or brand new Remington shotguns or rifles at all. At the time, I was working for an FFL, and we had tons of customers whose extractors broke on their 870s, and we could not find the parts to fix their guns. So their guns essentially were shot and dead. Like, you can't use them, okay? I'm not opposed to the 870. It is a little bit heavier than the Mossberg 500. I would prefer the Mossberg 500 just because I have hundreds of shells down these, and I know they work. And also, I like the safety on the top of the receiver here instead of on the trigger guard, which is where it is on the 870 and the Maverick 88, Mossberg Maverick 88. Another thing is, and this is the same as the 870, this is a quick detachable barrel. All you got to do is screw that to the left. That comes right off. And then you could put a 28-inch field barrel on there, which I also have. I just didn't bring it out here. So 2025, okay, there's some trends in the country right now where, you know, because of the presidential election, okay, federally, we don't really have to worry too much about gun control being pushed down the pipe for the next 4 years. I'm sure something stupid will go through, but it's not going to be as bad as if we had a President Harris. Let's not even think about that nightmare. But other things to note as well, and this is actually really not, so these are all new production rifles, okay? Factories are making these right now, okay? They are for sale, they are being built, and they are being either these two built in the United States. This is a Brazilian copy of the Winchester 1892. So being built or imported to the United States. The import may be, if there's something you want to jump on, but you could also buy the Henry lever actions. Those are great rifles. I'm just not willing to pay a couple $100 more for a name. The surplus rifles, though, on the other hand, this is a very volatile market. I purchased this Type 56 for about $1,500 in 2018, 2019. And right now, I couldn't even tell you how much. It's definitely going for over $2,000, probably maybe even $3,000. The SKSs. I mean, the thing about these two rifles is that there's only a certain number of them made, and there's only a certain number of them in the United States. We're not getting any more AK imports from China. Very rarely do we get imports of SKSs, and for the most part, the last time they came in a couple years ago, they were in not the best shape. Not as good as this one, for sure. But there is, and I've seen this more and more with the FFL that I work for. The older generation, well, what we would refer to as the baby boomers, they're starting to die off. Regardless of how you think about that, some people are happy about that. I mean, I kind of have a disdain for the generational hatred that we have in this country for each other, but regardless, they are starting to die off. And a lot of these baby boomer Milsurp collectors, their children, some of them are into it, some of them are not. And so I have seen a lot of estates of surplus rifles come through. In my opinion, okay, within the next 10 years, the surplus market, actually really the next 20 years, we'll say, because some of them will hold out for a little bit longer than that. But the surplus market will get a little bit better. And I don't think we'll see significant price decreases, but I think that the prices will stabilize. And if you're really big into Milsurp and you want to get yourself a Mosin gun or a Mauser action or an SKS. I didn't bring out my Mosin because I just didn't think it would be a good choice when you could buy a Ruger American for the same amount, and it's a more accurate rifle and essentially almost the same caliber, a 7.62 by 51 instead of 54 rimmed. So my suggestion to you young men, one of these three rifles and a bolt action 22. If you can buy a semi-automatic Ruger 1022 in your state, then go ahead and do that. But this is really what I would say right now. Hold off on these, wait until a later point in your life unless you get a really good deal on this stuff. Unfortunately, 10 years ago when I started buying firearms when I was about 18 years old, it was a totally different market. I was buying Mosins for $199. These SKSs were $299. Things have changed. Prices have gone up. So my suggestion to you, Mossberg 500, that would be a great first rifle. If you want a good deer rifle that you can reach out and hit a distance, if you've got more than a 100-yard shot, the Ruger American is a great rifle. The Predator is an 18-inch barrel, so it's a little shorter. It's not too long and unwieldy. Not that the standard Ruger American is. And then if you want something that's fun to shoot, but also, you know, you could use it for home defense, but also it's going to be cheap and fun. And it also gives you the aesthetic of an old school rifle. The Rossi 92 is a great choice. So this is my top 5 guns. Please like, share, and subscribe. And let me know in the comments what you think, if you agree or disagree. I'm always open to learning. When you close your mind off, that's really detrimental to yourself. So I'm really looking forward to hear your opinions. Thank you, guys.